Hey, they come, around the corner, sliding into the driveway in their family sedan. They're back from the market, the father's pockets fresh, no doubt, lined of fresh 50s. All tires roll easily along the gravel, and I pray that lying somewhere in that collection of pebbles and stones is a glass shard or a sharp rock enough to pierce the tires. My hopes are dashed as the car slows to a stop, the engine fading to silence. The youngest one, the boy, gets out and hurries to the front door. "No need to rush," the father proclaims, as he strolls outwards into a warm winter coat, his fingers escaping from the clamp of the slammed door behind him. Out comes the wife, wearing a thick cardigan, and behind her walks like a little girl in a frilly wooden hat, sucking on her thumb. I concentrated as hard as I could on the feeling of the girl's teeth sliding up against the skin of her finger in the mouth, peeling it open like fruit as she trips and falls face first onto the ground. I visualize it, taste it in the blood of my mouth. I projected it onto the child. The front door clicks shut behind them. I curse silently and close the blinds. Hunger stabs through my body as I stick my hands outwards towards the dying fireplace. I feel my extremities turning numb as an icy chill blows through the hole on the roof. A chipped bowl sits on the rack above the fire, lukewarm before dinner again. It seems like just yesterday and the day before that. Suddenly a noise. I rushed over back the window. It's music. The family's shadows flicker across the walls as they dance to the upbeat tune. I grasp the number of rubble from the window ledge and fantasize about throwing it through their living room window. The satisfaction would be immense. The imitate screams of the mother, followed by the wailing of the children, and the sheer confusion of the father as he scrambles to his feet from his armchair, the broken glass crinkling under his slippers. I scowl and slink to the back window. An ugly field of greenish-brown glares back at me, insulting me with its mere presence. Its surface is as dry and scabby, with a flock of hungry birds pecking at the soil in the hopes of a quick meal. My eyes scan along the grassy patches, checking for any sight of disturbance in the dull colors, any hint of yellow. I thought I saw one the other day, gleaming nugget, lying on the earth. I sprinted towards it, eyes wide as saucers, when the path of loose soil dislodged my footing and sent me tumbling head over heels. By the time I scrambled back to my feet, the nugget was gone, and its place was a dead squirrel. Its insides burst open, and I looked around, but the family was nowhere to be seen. Those bastards! They were probably sniggering for themselves as I shambled back into my house, the nugget clenched with the family's father's greedy fist. I spend most of the day spying on them, sometimes sneaking up for a closer look. I've only spotted a few times by the youngest son, but they always just dismiss it as I'm seeing things. An overactive imagination, as they put it. Sometimes he catches me staring from the window. Other times when I'm up close in the bushes, he reacts the same way every time, whimpering pathetically at first, then running back inside the house, or hiding somewhere where he thinks I can't see him, little wimp. I overhear their conversations a lot, and they must know I'm nearby, because they only talk about the mundane topics that they know I wouldn't be interested in. The father talks about his job sometimes, but I know it's only a guise for how they truly make their money. He drives a few miles away to sell the amount they stole from the previous day, while the children get to work on pilfering the newly emerged pickings under the command of the mother. I tried everything. I stayed up countless nights, watching the land like a hawk. I dug pits of 10 feet deep, trying to distinguish between a molehill hole and a tunnel scratched through the ground by an 8-year-old boy. I checked by the rainwater bucket through of hallucinations and watched as the skies for any potential airdrops. Nothing. How would they continue to get away with it every night they used to baffle me? I had always assumed they must have had access to the state-of-art technology, the kind of stuff someone like me could never dream of. Of course, I never bothered to introduce myself. They pretended that I did, and I don't exist. That in the house opposite to their luxury abode is abandoned. I've heard of the mother talk of saving up the money to seize the land of ownership and renovate the place themselves. That bitch. But they know I'm here. They must do. They know I can't contact the authorities or confront them on their burglary, or they would surely inquire into my living state. Squatting as a harsh word, but I imagine what is most would call it. It has never made much sense to me. This house is old and falling apart in disrepair. I can't waste any time tending to its upkeep. I least to sacrifice my safety in the hands of those brutes, and the second I drop my guard, they'll surely come for me, drive me out and force me out to live on the country roads like some sort of animal. No, I can't let that happen. I'll die before they force me out of here. It was my father who told me about this place. He spoke upon it on his deathbed, enlightened of its potential, told me and only me it was the source of his well-mounted wealth. The rest of the family wouldn't believe me, neither would the nurses or doctors. They said he was just confused, that his ramblings were a byproduct of dementia, the condition of which he had been suffering as of late. But I saw their past lies, and I knew that in the brief moment of clarity, he was onto something big and promising. When I ran away, I saw my own passing missing posters for a few months afterwards. I tore off the telephone pole to it was stapled to. Once I just got a look at it. It had all my details on it. My hair, my eye color, even a note saying I had a mental illness. Can you believe their nerve? Making up something like that just to get a few extra pity points? It's sickening. One day I'll go back and show them how wrong they are. One day. The rustling of the faraway trees and the wind snapped me out of my daydream. Sounds like a storm coming. I shiver and tiptoe into the musty table and the creature of the room. I can't believe it took me this long to figure out how they did it. To think my accidental it was, too. I learned that their secret by pure chance. They had this horrible mangy mutt, an ugly pit bull that would occasionally sniff around the building. I had to hide whenever it came near, or else it would bark and shout and prompt one of the parents to come and bring it back home again. Well, one day I was feeling particularly moody, and there it went, sniffing around the field as per usual, and I had enough. It didn't take long. I just crept up on it from behind and gave it a quick whack over the head with the rusty shovel. It dropped like a stiff brick, and I dragged it back inside to cook it up for dinner. At first I started slicing little pieces off and sticking them on the fire, but that's when I saw it, the teensy little glimmer in the flesh, reflecting the light from the moon shining through one of the windows. I peeled open the wound a little deeper and found an entire chunk of gold poking through its body. I could barely contain myself. I grabbed a pocket knife from one of the kitchen drawers and sliced its belly open. And what I did find? It was stuffed to the brim with gleaming gold pieces. I remember staring in shock of what felt like hours, for weeks and weeks. I had racked my brain to try and come up with the solution for the family's thefts, and now that the solution was starting me in the face with all of its milky, lifeless eyes, they were using the dog as a fucking courier, stuffing it with purified gold and presumably waiting for it to shit it back out again. Their ingenuity was proven, I give him that. I scooped it out and stashed it away underneath the floorboards and haven't touched it since. As for the body, I stomped on its head a few times and left it sitting outside of their front doorstep. The little one found it first and gave me the biggest laugh of my life when I saw their stupid face contort and start bawling. Of course, they weren't really sad about the dog. They were sad about the profits they had lost. But they had did a damn good job of pretending that they were. They even made a little grave for it in the back garden. His name was Fido, apparently. The father mentioned something about it in the fault of being a wolf or fox, but I'm pretty sure he knew it was me. And it was a message after all the way of saying that I had cracked their secret and that I knew they were up to. I thought I'd put it to a stop on it once and for all, and that they would have had no choice but to move away and leave me in my lonesome. Now that I halted their primary source of income, they adapted it. Those clever bastards adapted it. My gold was still nowhere to be found. The field was bare, and I knew for a fact they haven't bought a new dog. So what could it have been? Well, I have a theory. The parents have been pushing the little boy to get closer to the house, to build up his confidence. I saw him playing nearby just the other day with a couple of sticks. What's got to do with anything, you may ask? Well, if they could smuggle gold through a dog's body, they could surely do the same with a child's, right? What's up, my pretties? It's the Lion Queen here. I want to appreciate you all for tuning into this video, and I do appreciate you guys supporting my video by giving this video likes and stuff. If you really enjoyed this video, be sure to leave a like, comment and subscribe if you're new, ring the bell for notifications to when I upload so that way you guys will get updated for whenever I upload. If you want to follow me on Twitter or DeviantArt, feel free to leave a follow on those if you are interested in following me on those socials. If you want to support my backup channel, known as Miss Dark Shigo, feel free to subscribe to it, as a link to that will also be in the About page section. And with that being said, and that being the case, thank you so much for watching, my pretties, and as always, stay pretty.